Rabbi Marilee Gordon of McHenry County Jewish Congregation. Last week we finished the book of Leviticus. Now, you may wonder, what does that mean, Leviticus? It's basically the handbook of the Levites. But the thing is, there are two traditions for the names of the books of the Torah. And in English, the names don't necessarily line up with Hebrew. If you look at Genesis, which is, I guess, comes from the Latin, the first word in the book of Genesis is Bereshit. The Hebrew tradition for naming these books and a lot of other books as well is by the first significant word in the book. And that's true of each of the portions that we read. Each of the weekly portions, its title is the first significant word in that portion. When we get to the book of Exodus, the English title, Exodus, really tells us what the whole book is about, right? The Exodus from Egypt and that first year spent at Mount Sinai, hearing the Ten Commandments, making the portable ark, the portable sanctuary. The Hebrew term, Ele Shmot, these are the names. So it's called Shmot by the second word, names, and it really doesn't have much to do with the content of the whole book, just the first part that tells us the names of the people that went down into Egypt, because it's about to tell us about the oppression that happened there after Joseph died. Leviticus, right? The English title tells us what the book is about. It's a handbook for the Levites. The Hebrew title is the first word, Vayikra. He called, in the context of God called to Moses to discuss what the Levites needed to do now that they had a portable sanctuary. Now we come to the fourth book of the Torah, which in English is called the Book of Numbers. And in Hebrew, it's called something else entirely. But first, let's look at the reason that it's called the Book of Numbers. It does not describe the whole book by any means. It describes the first 3 chapters where Moses is asked by God to take a census of the people. So it's almost like whoever came up with the title for the Book of Numbers only read the first 3 chapters? I don't know. But interestingly enough, I'm going to read you the first verse of the English. And we're looking for what is the significant, distinctive word we can use to call the book. On the first day of the second month, in the second year, following the exodus from the land of Egypt, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting, saying, what are we going to call the book? Well, it turns out we're going to call it Bamidbar, in the wilderness, because everything up till then doesn't fit the bill. You find those words all different places. Bamidbar, you don't see so much. So the book of Numbers in Hebrew is called In the Desert, and that's exactly what the book of Numbers is about. At the beginning of the book of Numbers, as it says here, they've been parked at Mount Sinai for over a year. And now they're getting ready to start their journey towards the Promised Land. And they actually pick up and start moving in chapter 10. There's a lot of preparation that's done. The census is taken in order to figure out how many able-bodied men who could be warriors are in each tribe. Because as they travel through the desert, they have to have a defense for those who are not strong, those who can't defend themselves, and also to defend the holy objects, the ark, the altar, all the things that are carried to be then set up in each new place to have that sacred place. So that's the purpose of the census. But by the end of the book of Numbers, the Israelites are parked on the shores of the Jordan River, and the whole book of Deuteronomy, which in Hebrew is Devarim, words, which is apt because the whole book of Deuteronomy, except for the last chapter, is Moses' words to the people. For all we know, he spoke all these words in one day. So we have 39 years of the Israelites' experience in the wilderness in the book called In the Wilderness. So I hope you'll pay attention to the readings in Numbers, and you'll see some squabbling and all kinds of things, that take place because you have this new people traveling through a foreign place that's kind of unforgiving, and all these annoying things happen. So keep up with the weekly readings, and maybe you'll find some things you didn't know before.